My father looked me in the eye across that conference table and said, "Tyler will be taking over as co-owner. Hannah, we appreciate your help over the years, but this is a decision for the men in the family." Everyone nodded. Tyler smirked. And that's when I realized I'd never be enough. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I wasn't him. My name is Hannah Lewis. I'm 26 years old, and I spent 5 years bleeding for a family business that never saw me coming. I had a business degree from State College, nothing fancy, but I'd worked every single role in my family's landscaping and property maintenance company since I was 19. I handled client relationships, I ran logistics, I won 2 major contracts that literally doubled our revenue. But my father believed field work and deal-making were men's work. So I got called sweetie and sent to do paperwork while my brother Tyler partied through a marketing degree and got handed a supervisor title the day he graduated. I wasn't flashy. I didn't talk big. But I had something they never bothered to notice. I actually understood the clients. I loved that business. I gave it everything. And they acted like I was the secretary. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. You'll want to hear how this ends. It all came to a head at the annual business review dinner. We went to this nice steakhouse downtown, the kind with cloth napkins and waiters in vests. My dad invited extended family and our 2 senior employees. He said it was tradition. I walked in feeling hopeful. Stupid, I know. But we'd been working on an expansion proposal for months, and I'd written half of it. I thought maybe, finally, he'd see what I could do. Dad stood up halfway through dinner, holding his wine glass like he was about to give a toast. "I've got big news," he said. My heart started pounding. "We're expanding, opening a 2nd branch across town." I smiled. I couldn't help it. "And I'm proud to announce Tyler as the new co-owner and director of expansion. He's got vision." Everyone clapped. Tyler stood up, soaking it in like he'd just won an award. I sat frozen, fork halfway to my mouth. He didn't write that proposal. I did. Well, half of it at least, and he was getting credited for all of it. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Dad, I thought we were going to discuss this as a team. I wrote half that proposal." He frowned at me like I'd interrupted something important. "Hannah, you did some paperwork. Tyler's going to lead. You're welcome to stay on in admin." Admin. Tyler leaned back in his chair, grinning. "Yeah, hon. We'll still need someone to answer emails." The table laughed. Uncle Dave, my dad's brother and minority partner, chimed in next. "Honey, you're great with details. But running a business? That takes a certain kind of toughness." The employees looked away. One whispered something to the other. I sat there, fork in hand, and realized I had 2 choices: accept it, or walk away and prove them all wrong. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, stared at my reflection in the mirror, and made a decision. When I came back, I smiled and said, "Congratulations, Tyler. I'm sure you'll do great." He bought it. They all did. But that night, I went home, opened my laptop, and pulled up the folder I'd labeled Backup Plan. 2 weeks later, I found out they threw a celebration dinner for Tyler at my parents' house. I wasn't invited. I only knew because my mom accidentally sent a text to the wrong group chat. "Dinner at 6. Don't be late." I stared at my phone, waiting for the follow-up. The oops meant to include you. It never came. I drove by that evening. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see it for myself. Cars in the driveway, laughter through the windows, warm light spilling onto the lawn. I texted my mom. "Everything okay?" She replied 20 minutes later. "Oh, sweetie, this was just a business thing. Didn't think you'd want to come." I sat in my car and cried. Then I took a screenshot of the text thread and saved it. A week after that, Mrs. Alvarez called the office. She was one of my longtime clients, a property manager who oversaw 6 apartment complexes. I'd worked with her for 3 years. She trusted me. She asked for me specifically. Tyler intercepted the call, decided he'd go meet with her himself to build rapport. I didn't even know until Mrs. Alvarez sent me a confused email. "Your brother said you're no longer handling accounts?" I showed up at the office, walked straight to Tyler's desk. "Why did you tell Mrs. Alvarez I'm not handling accounts?" He didn't even look up. "You're not a partner, hon. You don't get to claim clients. I'm taking point on the big ones now." My dad overheard from his office, came out into the hallway. I thought, maybe just for a second, he'd back me up. Instead, he said, "He's right. You're support staff now. Act like it." The 2 crew guys sitting nearby pretended to look at their phones. I'd worked with them for years, and my own father humiliated me in front of them like I was nothing. But that wasn't even the worst part. A month later, Tyler launched the expansion. He used my client research, my proposals, my contracts, every single piece of work I'd done. He even used my tagline, "Reliable Roots, Lasting Growth," on the new branch's website. I saw it go live and felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I emailed him. Just 2 words. "That was my work." He replied in under a minute. "You were on company time. It's family property. Don't be petty." That's when I stopped crying. I stopped hoping they'd see me, and I started working. What they didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this since the minute Tyler smirked at that dinner table. For the past 6 months, I'd been taking online courses. Business management, sustainable landscaping techniques. I saved contact info for over 40 clients I had personal relationships with, ethically, from memory and LinkedIn. Nothing stolen. I'd been working weekends as a freelance consultant for 2 small property managers. I'd quietly registered an LLC, kept every email, every proposal, every record of my contributions, time-stamped, backed up. I met with a small business advisor at the State Commerce Office, saved $18,000 from side gigs and my salary. I lived cheap. No vacations, no new clothes, just work. I wasn't rich. I didn't have investors. But I had something better. I had their playbook. And I knew exactly where they were weak. They thought I'd just fade away. Instead, I was about to become the one name they couldn't ignore. That's when James reached out. He'd been a crew lead for my family's company. Good guy. Hard worker. He quit 3 months earlier after Tyler passed him over for promotion and gave the job to his unqualified buddy from college. James texted me out of nowhere. "Heard what happened. If you ever want to talk, I'm around." We met for coffee. He didn't waste time. "Your family's running that company into the ground. Tyler doesn't know a contract from a coupon." I laughed. First time in weeks. He leaned forward. "If you ever want to start something new, I've got crew contacts, equipment access, experience. Let's do it." I hesitated. Then I opened my laptop and showed him my plan. He grinned. "Let's do it." Meanwhile, Tyler's expansion was a mess. Projects ran late. Client communication was terrible. One check bounced, but Dad kept covering for him, kept calling it growing pains. At a family BBQ, I showed up to out of obligation. Tyler stood by the grill, beer in hand, talking loud. "We're going to dominate the region," he said. "No one can touch us now." Uncle Dave, drunk, laughed. "Good thing Hannah's not competition, huh?" Everyone laughed. I smiled. Said nothing. That night, James and I secured a small business loan, $25,000, using my savings as a down payment. We filed the LLC, Greenstone Property Services, rented a small yard and garage for equipment, designed a clean, modern website, way better than my family's outdated one. We reached out to former clients, carefully, ethically. We offered better service, faster response times, eco-friendly options. The night before launch, my mom called. "Why are you being so distant? You're acting childish." I took a breath. "I'm not distant, Mom. I'm just done waiting for you all to see me." I hung up. James and I toasted with cheap beer. Here's to showing them what we're made of. 3 months later, Greenstone had landed 12 clients. 4 of them had switched from my family's business, not because I poached them, because they reached out after terrible service from Tyler. Our revenue was modest, but growing fast. The reviews were glowing. I ran into Tyler at the local supplier. He was picking up equipment. I was in line with James, holding an invoice. Tyler looked at me, confused. "What are you doing here?" "Same thing you are, running a business." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Wait, you started a lawn care company? That's cute, hon." The guy behind the counter, who knew both of us, looked up. "Oh, Greenstone?" "Yeah, they're killing it. Picked up the Riverside contract last week." Tyler's face went white. Riverside was his target client, the one he'd been chasing for 2 months. He grabbed my arm and pulled me outside. "You stole our clients." I yanked my arm back. "I didn't steal anyone. They left because you were late, rude, and overpriced." "Dad's going to hear about this." "Good. Tell him. Tell him I'm doing exactly what he said I couldn't." He tried a different angle. Guilt. "This is family business, Hannah. You're breaking up the family." I stepped closer. "No, Tyler. You broke it when you looked me in the eye and laughed at me. I'm just done pretending it didn't happen." He stammered. "You can't compete with us. We've been around for 20 years. I pulled out my phone, showed him a screenshot of a client review. Hannah listened when no one else did. Greenstone is what reliable roots used to be. His jaw clenched. "Then maybe you should start acting like it," I said. I walked away. Dad called me that night. I'd never heard him that angry. "You're trying to destroy what I built." For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of him. "No, Dad. I'm building what you refused to let me be part of. There's a difference. You'll never make it. You don't have what it takes." I smiled. "I guess we'll see." And I hung up. First time I'd ever done that. A week later, Tyler's expansion branch closed one of its locations. Contract losses. Word spread fast in the industry. Mrs. Alvarez called me. "I always knew you were the smart one." 6 months later, Greenstone was stable, growing, profitable. I hired 2 more crew members, expanded services. My family's business was still operating, but their reputation had taken a hit. They'd scaled back. I didn't gloat, didn't trash talk them. I just kept working. I ran into my dad at a community event. He looked older, tired. He muttered, "You really did it." I nodded. "I told you I could." He didn't apologize, but he didn't argue either. Mom tried to reconnect. Asked me to come to Christmas. I said, "Maybe." I didn't commit. I wasn't angry anymore, just indifferent. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I just needed to believe in myself enough to walk away. Now I sit in my small office, looking at a framed photo of my crew. They're my real family now. Where are you watching from? Drop it below. I always check. If you've ever had to prove yourself to people who doubted you, you're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments. And if this one hit home, hit that subscribe button. I've got more stories like this coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.